Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, so it is time for our Wellbeing show. So, Monday. It's the Mummers and Puppers, I think, isn't it? Monday. And Monday it is. Ready for another week. Um, it's always a lot easier to take when the sun is shining, as it is today. An absolutely beautiful day. So, just give it a mo for some people to pop by and see a little bit of register of people coming in, and then we'll have a chat on this beautiful Monday. It's really nice and bright, very fresh, um, and it's lovely that morning sun, isn't it? And I think it's really good to appreciate all the different times of the day and how we can connect to those and feel good about things and feel grounded. Um, Again, so it's about this as I say, appreciate as I say times of the day, and that we can enjoy the morning sun, enjoy the evening sun, and the morning breeze, and the midday breeze, and all these little parts of the day that are so pretty, so enjoyable, and special. They're their own thing, aren't they? We can see the difference between the morning sun and the evening sun, sort of dawn and dusk. So those are good things to notice if you're doing your mindful walking. Personally, I'm finding mindful walking incredibly grounding, and it's probably the most helpful, proactive daily thing that I'm doing to attend to my mental health. And there are so many things that you can pay attention to when you're walking. For instance, just the birds, for instance. So I've been really enjoying just noticing the panning and the chattering between the birds, sort of just over the different sides of the street. Um, Road at the moment around my area, and just noticing the sort of chattering between the trees and all the little messages that the birds are telling each other. As I say, looking out for their mates, looking out for each other, letting each know when sort of predators are about, all these sort of things. Um, it's just very grounding to notice the nature and things around you. And if you are walking or able to walk, to familiar places, to places you have a connection to, there's this idea of deep topography, or what can be called psychogeography, and that's our connection to places, to places and the land and things of places that we've been, ground we've trodden, places we have memories, and it's this idea that your memory is very easily prompted by going to places that you have experiences and memories from, and it's almost like those memories sort of sit there waiting for you to sort of come and find them again. So, interesting ideas of sort of space and memory and things, and it can be like that sometimes. I think you can go somewhere that you have a connection or some memories to, and it makes it all more close, more vibrant. The sort of memories and things we can trigger our memories in lots of ways. Yeah, particularly sensory, really, isn't it? Sounds, smells, tastes. Can take us back to memories and lots of connections with memories. But this idea in psychogeography or deep topography, yeah, also is that our connection to places and yeah, this idea that we almost sort of either carry places with us as we go through life because of the memories associated with them, or that we almost sort of leave memories and bits of ourselves in the places that we've been. So you can think about it in lots of different ways, maybe both of them to a degree, or one a little bit, or maybe none of it, whatever works for you. Um, so I've been thinking quite a bit about family at the moment, and all the sort of different types of families that there are, and how families are supporting each other at the moment. And families, they come in all different shapes and sizes, don't they? But they're all there to give love and support. So whatever your family looks like, it starts out perfect, doesn't it? Because there's this space and opportunity for love and kindness and support and guidance and connection and all these positive things, isn't it? So there's that opportunity for perfection in a family to on some sort of level, and it's the same in friendships as well, isn't it? There's that potential in in a friendship or almost any interaction between people for this love and support and guidance and kindness. So that opportunity is with us all the time in our families, in our friendships, in our workplaces, in our day to day. And in mental health, and particularly in our charity where we work at community gardens and things, there are a lot of metaphors and links and things between sort of nature and growing and mental health. And also sort of with a family as well, isn't it? You know, if you think of a family as a garden, you plant your flowers and plants and things, and you tend to them. You tend to the family unit. You tend to the individuals and the individual plants and flowers, and you try and cut back the weeds as well, don't we? So if the weeds are, you know, money, worries, or anything else that's going on, we try and keep them at bay, don't we? And let our garden flourish and grow, and encourage our garden, nurture our garden. And we use lots of sort of metaphors, similes, and things in conversation, don't we? Either about our lives or mental health and things that relate to a garden. So we think of terms, just colloquial terms, sort of cutting back the dead wood, or gathering moss. We think that's a term we could think if someone's procrastinating or not moving forward, like in nature. If something's still, it may gather moss, and think of people in that way too. We talk about people having a sunny disposition. We talk about people having a cloudy day. And I think quite often these metaphors and similes and relating things through nature, because we're a part of nature, can make things not so scary, or a bit more natural and easier to take, rather than thinking about everything in these sort of dry clinical ways or sort of mental health ways and things. If we think of ourselves as more of these natural things operating in a state of nature in the natural world, it'd be quite an interesting way of looking at things. And like I'm saying about mindful walking, I think it's helpful just to experience a journey. If you're someone that's going to be having to go back to work and using public transport or things like that, you know, there may be some anxieties and things around that. So if you can do this mindful traveling, and just experience a journey, what the sounds and things on the bus that are going on, you know, don't worry about the other things that are going on, but use your senses to ground you a bit. What are all the pops and clicks and whirring and everything, and sort of vibrations and things that are going on, you know, on your journey? Can you catch some little pleasing rhythms in the interplay between those sounds, or just experience sounds as they come and they go and are replaced by new sound which comes and goes, and you're just in the moment and on the journey, and taking it as a journey, being present, being in the moment. So there's a few things there, isn't there? We're talking about family and relationships, how it can be easier to oh, okay. Easier to take things sometimes if our minds are a bit jumbled. As I say, look to nature and and all these natural things, and try and be close to things, like I'm saying, in your experiences and in your moments. If you're listening to the birds and the wind and enjoying the sun, feel your closeness to those things, and how it's good and natural and positive. Um, Life is a moment, and lots of little moments, and it's good to enjoy them. Um, so I'd like to talk a little bit about language as well today. Um, Sort of way we use language. We can use our language to be inclusive and encouraging, or we can we can exclude people with our language, or other people alienate people with our language. So there are some things that are almost international universals in language. Smiling, frowning, these are almost universal um, among people in the world. So even though we have sort of quite different cultures, ways of doing things, maybe our countries are organised quite differently, there are some things that um, cut across things in that way. Um, so in some ways, whether we like it or not, we're international beings, aren't we? We have there's that physical connection and behaviour connection that cuts across everything. Okay. And I suppose noticing in nature and in our lives and in families and in our relationships, this idea of reciprocity, someone giving something and we give something back, or we give something and we get something back, or by accident that we get something from someone else or a situation, and things just sort of work out all right. So again, coming to the mind of the garden, in my garden I have a couple of bird feeders, and the smaller birds they get at the nuts and things, and they come out, but a lot of them drop to the ground. And then sort of the magpies and crows and pigeons want to have a go as well. So by accident, there's this reciprocity, isn't there? That by proxy, they're sort of feeding each other, looking out for each other, because the crows and the pigeons sort of see off the magpies, which scare the smaller birds and things. So that's like life, isn't it? So sometimes we can do things purposefully, and people will benefit out of our own sort of benefit and moving forward. And sometimes these things sort of happen as happy little accidents, don't they? And that's a good thing. But I suppose it can go the other way as well. Working on our things, being self-serving, or things like that, can have a fallout for other people. So I guess it's just bearing in mind that sometimes the decisions we make can affect other people in this sort of reciprocity way. That's sometimes quite positive, or sometimes a little bit more difficult. So on my mindful walks, I've really been enjoying this soundtrack, of nature, and things, the natural sounds, the wind, the birds, rustle of the leaves, all these things. It's very grounding, and like I say, it's enjoying it as a natural soundtrack. And if you're finding it hard to sort of find some music and things to listen to at the moment, soundtracks can be quite a good thing as well. Maybe from old films that you really like, or they're just famously quite varied. Soundtracks normally have a couple of upbeat tunes, a couple of sort of classical or sort of piano tunes. They're quite varied, and being a compilation as such, quite often as they are, can be a good lead into finding new music and new things, which is only a good thing, isn't it? But again, on language as well, I think quite often humans and people in our conversations, we can make things harder than they are to explain or to get across. And this can be quite visible, especially in the workplace. Different workplaces sort of have their own jargon, their own language that's sort of specific to their area, or things like that. And I found quite a good example of this in an essay I've been reading by George Orwell. on English and the on the English language, and it's saying that I mean this was written in 1945, but the point still stands of how we can sort of translate meaning or something that's quite clear, and in our modern lives or through work jargon we can make them quite complicated. So George Orwell uses the example of a small Bible quote, and then he sort of jargonizes it. So I'd just like to read that to you, and it's an example of how we can overcomplicate things, either in our workplace or trying to explain things to other people, and more overly within ourselves. Sometimes we try and think of things in a more complicated way than we need to, and especially when we're trying to find solutions to things. So again, it's going to be a little quote from the Bible, and then how it's possible to make something simple-ish really complicated. So, I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not for the swift, nor the battle for the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favour to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to all of them. Okay, so it's a Bible quote, and it's saying everything happens to everyone. So a modern sort of consultant or something going through that might say something like, objective consideration of contemporary phenomena compels the conclusion that success or failure to competitive activities exhibits no tendency to be commensurate with innate capability, then a considerable element that the unpredictable must invariably be taken into account. So that's a really complicated, jargony way of saying the same thing, isn't it? And working in mental health, we can be as guilty as anyone of that. And I'm not sure quite how many more thousands upon thousand times I can hear the word well-being, but as long as we kind of know what that means and what we're working towards with it, then that's okay to a degree. But I find well-being is quite an amorphous word that can mean lots of different things to different people, and sometimes it's worth clarifying what it does mean to someone. Okay, so historically on the show, we've talked quite a bit about stoicism and the ideas around personal responsibility and self-mastery and the things that go with that, understanding ourselves, taking responsibility for ourselves. And over the weekend, I was brought to mind, I don't know where it came from, but it was about 10, 15 years ago. The actor Charlie Sheen was quite in the news. He was sort of going through substance misuse rehab, and was being quite outspoken about a few things. And some of the things he said were quite outlandish, and some things were taken quite out of context. But one thing that he was sort of saying or had done, either through the drugs or mentally, he'd decided that he could take supreme responsibility for himself and the things that he does, and that it's no one else's sort of decision to do that or responsibility. And I mean, he referred to it with his term of winning. So he'd say, I'm winning, or that's winning, or I'm winning really well at this. And it was this idea that he's making his opportunities, he's doing what he can with things, and it infused him. He'd almost sort of transcended a lot of the sort of ego and baggage and things that hold us back, and he just sort of decided, I'm a man. This is what I can do with the day. This is what I should be doing, and he described that sort of inner strength as tiger blood. So he had developed his own sort of little language and things to express how he was feeling, which was quite creative. But I guess it's this idea that we all have access to this tiger blood, and to be winning, because as I say, not everyone can do things for us. We have to and can. We can take responsibility. We're a lot more powerful than we generally give ourselves credit for, and when we start doing things, taking on the responsibilities, and have these little victories, it's really good, isn't it? And it builds us up. So, and it linked in. I've no idea where I found it, but I found some Christian Quarterly magazine from 2017, just sort of around the place. And it had a little quote. It's someone that's talking about sort of being close to Jesus, or being in sort of the light of Jesus. And they talk about, well, I've got a short version, but I need the longer version. So it's referring to sort of Jesus, or being in the light of God, or these sort of things in the way that someone feels. It says, I walk in absolute victory and dominion over the world. I live above, reign over, and subdue life's circumstances and situations. And I just thought, wow, that's the attitude that I'm trying to really take at the moment, in my day to day, and what I can do and have control over my world. I want to walk in victory over my day and my tasks, and to have dominion over my world in the way that I can control things helpfully. I want to live above, reign over, and subdue life's circumstances. I don't want to be beaten by life's circumstances and life situations. So, whether you're religious or spiritual, and have that light sort of within and without, sort of guiding you and supporting you through these things, to be victorious, to have helpful dominion over what we can control. And if you don't have that, it's trying to awaken that, within you, and build this inner strength that, I'm doing things because I want to. I'm doing things because I want to survive. I want to thrive. I want to encourage other people. This is all in our power, to accept and to look after what we can, and to try and move forward with things, isn't it? And that's what all this is about. So we're connecting with our thoughts, with nature and the moment, on our mindfulness, acceptance of what we can and can't change, tending to our inner and mental garden, pruning, cutting back, trying to be close to things, the places around us, the connection of our memories to places, how we use language, inside ourselves, and without not using too much jargon, and overcomplicating things with sort of buzzwords and sort of word salad. And we talked a little bit about reciprocity, that even by sort of chance, there are opportunities out there, just by the sort of butterfly effect of the things that are going on around us, which is quite interesting. We've talked about this idea of growing tiger blood and winning at things, transcending, moving beyond, trying to let go of things, and see what we can do with the day. So these are all helpful things, aren't they? They're good things, and because we want this inner peace, don't we? We want this acceptance to take the day, and sometimes a bit of sort of personification of things, or events or situations can help to take the sting out of things. I mean, I know a lot of people that have names for their cars are constantly going, "Oh, come on, old girl," and things like that, struggling up a hill, or a laptop that's on its last legs. "Oh, come on, mate, just print off this thing." So we sort of personify things, or some people personify things a bit, sometimes purposefully and sometimes by accident. And in this idea of personifying things, I'll just share something with you. It's a bit silly, but at work and things, quite a lot of my colleagues will know I sort of shrug, or things like that. And where it comes from is my idea of sort of personification of life, and the trials and tribulations of it. I sometimes imagine life as a bemused Frenchman who doesn't really care what I do, or sort of how much I try, and is sort of amused by my failures and things, and it just makes life a bit easier when it sort of laughs at you when you're trying, or things don't work out. If something goes wrong for me, I sort of imagine this metaphysical Frenchman sort of shrugging and saying, "Well, what do you want from me?" or "What did you expect?" or "So it's for you to get on with it and do it." And sometimes that makes life a little bit more amusing or easier to take. Um, but there you go. We all have our funny little coping strategies and ways of dealing with things. And if you haven't found them yet, they're out there, and they're within and without. You'll find these things to take the sting out of life, to make life fun, um, and reconnect with the wonder of life. Because wonder isn't, going and looking at castles and oceans and the Grand Canyon and things. It's noticing the wonder in all the lovely, pretty, clever ways that nature and people have evolved and continue to evolve our inner and outer worlds. So let's do that for the week, shall we? Develop our inner and outer worlds. Okay. Good luck with your homework. Take care, everyone. All the best.